Alright, now on with the video. I just want to do a vlog here, and I don't know how long it's actually going to be, because there's a few things I want to talk about, and mainly, it's just dealing with just observations, because I'm a very observing person when it comes to being out and about, just noticing how people go through their daily lives. Not how they act or anything like that. Well, I guess in a way how they act. But what I really want to touch on is how a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people out there, why are they just walking around with these blank looks on their face like they're a zombie almost? You know, without all the blood and gore and everything, they just walk around like meandering around aimlessly, and I don't know, and you try to speak to some of them, and it's like they look at you like you done growed about 3 heads with this look on their face, and they don't say nothing. Yes, no, maybe, kiss my ass, hello, yay, whatever. And it's just amazing to me how that works. And there's a lot I could really say about that, but the one thing that I'm just really amazed about is that this is supposed to be Christmas time, and the Christmas spirit, in my opinion, is dead. And I mean Christmas spirit in the metaphysical sense, not the actual spiritual sense, you know, with the Almighty and all that. Metaphysical, look at there, big word. I don't even know if it's right, but there you go. But just noticing how people are is just amazing to me. I can't put my finger on it. But I'm one of those, I like all of you out there in our great community, which is the Crap Chest Nation, the CCN out there. You know, we like to live and love and have fun and, you know, be serious when it's time to be serious. But for the most part, you know, we go through our lives enjoying it, trying to enjoy it, and trying to avoid the assholes. And I guess that's what I mean, in a way, is that a lot of people, male, female, whoever, are just being assholes these days, and I don't understand what it is. And, you know, you think you see a lot of that going on online. It goes on in real life just as much as it goes online. And that's kind of roll me into the next thing, which is so many videos that I've done, especially this year, okay, especially recently. There's been different people, not the same person, but just different people saying, oh, you need to go get a girlfriend, oh, you need to get in a relationship, you need to go out and, you know, get a girl, you need to go get laid, you need this and that. Why? You know, here's actually what I got written down. Relationships and why must it be a rule? Where is there a rule out there that says that Crap Chest must go out and find a woman to fulfill his whole void in his life unless he's wanting to not be successful and happy and everything else? I'm quite happy the way it is right now. In the future, if I choose to actually go seeking a relationship with someone, or if it just happens to happen, then yeah, I will. But I've been there, done that, had some of the happiest times of my life, had some of the creepiest times of my life in that, and just looking at the overall history of relationships themselves, not to say, and I'm not going to be statistical as far as divorce rates and unhappiness and domestic violence, which is a huge factor in on it. Not that I would have any of those issues, but I look at all that and it's like, what would be the point of really getting into that serious of a relationship? And I don't want anybody that may be, you know, in an ex-relationship with me to take it the wrong way, because this is something that's gone through my mind in the past 5 years, especially since 2007, that I just really wanted to step back and leave it alone and see how it goes like that. Not to say I haven't been on dates, not to say I haven't been with girls or whatever like that, because I have. It's just being in a serious relationship right now, especially the way things are going. Why would I want to put myself in that situation? Why would I want to put them in that situation? And I'm not talking about just the financial or the actual relationship itself, because I've stated this in the past in videos. I think the Diablo Walks the Earth series, that I love the way it feels to be with someone, but right now I'm just not interested in being with someone. So those of you out there that say, oh, you need to go out and get a girlfriend and all that, it's not that I'm not capable of doing that. It's just that I choose not to. I've even had some ex-girlfriends from way back in the day that I no longer speak to at all, and they watch my videos. They're probably the ones saying it, making these little troll accounts or whatever. And for the most part, the people, I go check out people's channels, just, different comments that people make, not just trolls, but just to check out who's actually watching. For the most part, it's people that are into the same type of things that I'm into and you're into, like games and having fun and more games and vlogs and things like that. And then there's that handful that just have that no picture and they have no subscribers, and you look at their recent activity, it's nothing but troll. Yeah, you run into those. And I don't even bother even worrying about that. But I have had people from the past actually wonder why it is that I'm not. And it's not that, here's the thing, I guess, to sum it up. It's not worth it, nor is it worth my time to get into a relationship when in the beginning it's all about the two, and then something happens down the line where it's all about one or the other, whether it be the girl, whether it be the boy, and I'm not putting myself in that situation. There are very few and far between women out there that, and men, I'm not going to leave the men out of it because I do have females watch this and I want you to misunderstand, that will actually have a friendship / relationship, a partnership, that goes into the whole makings of a successful relationship. And it's hard for that to happen. And until that does happen, hey, I'm happy the way it is right now. I love living a virtual life. That is my choice, and that's the way it's going to be until something comes about in the future. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not going to say where, when, or who. I'm just going to tell you the situation. I knew a guy, and he, for whatever reason, was one of those types that seems like he might be just one of those that runs the women, chasing skirts and all that, bar hopping or whatever, just to have a good time. And then all of a sudden he meets this one woman, 2 weeks later says, oh, she's the one and all this. And unless she was lying, I don't know why she started texting me on this, because I had no interest in it, I'll tell you that right now. Saying that they were no longer together because he's too demanding, and whenever they actually got serious in their relationship, he totally got serious and overprotective and demanding, wanting her to cook and clean and rub his feet and rub his belly and make him a sandwich and all this other stuff. And in the beginning, whenever they met each other, it was all about let's share different duties with one another and let's do for each other. And that's what I really mean whenever I'm talking about the harsh reality of how relationships really are. And you guys can go out there and y'all can tell them lies if you want to. There are a handful and a very small percentage of people out there right now that have happy relationships. They're just in a relationship because everybody else is fucking doing it. I don't care what you say. If I ever get in a relationship in the future, that's the way I want it to be, is a partnership for us to share in the relationship, not for it to be one-sided and, oh, it's all about me and none for you. That's never going to happen to me again. All right, not to say that if certain people are watching this, that's not how I mean it, because there might be one or two out there that I was happy with, but it just didn't work. All right, it just didn't work. And I don't regret those times. It's all the other fuckers out there that are just broken in the mind and just broken overall that I'm talking about. One of the things that really made me think about this is I was going through looking at some Christmas music and happened to run across a couple of people from back in the day. Judy Garland was one of them. A lot of people don't know the story of how Judy Garland, or who she is. She's a chick who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. She did some Christmas music way back in the day, and I was like looking around seeing if I could find some Christmas music by her because I love the way she sings. I love that old school feel, kind of like you listen to in Fallout, and I was kind of in the mood for it. So I was looking around saying, hey, this, that, and the other, and I happened to run across an actual dedication page to her, and I started reading it, going, man, this is fascinating, that this right here actually touches on, because I started writing notes down. This touches on exactly what I mean as far as the long term and the just happiness in being in a relationship. In the blog, long story short, it said something about her being she had just got married to her 5th husband. Not 1, not 2, but the 5th husband. And something happened, they had a blowing up. She ran out in the street, woke all the neighbors, had this big tirade or whatever, just a tantrum. And the man was like, ooh, what the fuck? And he just stayed in the house or whatever. Well, he went to bed. She got a call late in the morning. And he woke up. She wasn't in the bed next to him. I don't know. They said the details wasn't really given. But he noticed that the bathroom door was locked, so he went around outside, looked in the window, and she's sitting on the toilet dead. And they said rigor mortis had already set in. So I'm thinking to myself, what would have happened with her life had she made the decision not to get in a relationship? Because remember, back in the day, if you weren't in a relationship, you were either a gigolo, a Mac Daddy, like the Rat Pack and all them people. I don't even know if any of those guys were even married. Was Sammy Davis Jr.? I think he was married. I don't know. But I don't know if Frank Sinatra and all them other cats, Dean Martin and all them, I don't know if all those guys were married or not. But back in the day, that's just the way it was. And if you were a woman, you were an old maid and over the hill, or something's wrong with you, you must have the clap, or, something. And so I think it's been pushed on the people through the generations to actually be in relationships. But I think about that, she was in her 5th marriage, and then all of a sudden, she dies. Nobody knows how, probably an overdose. I think that's what happened to Elvis. They found him on the toilet choking his own vomit, didn't they? But I'm just wondering, what would have happened had she decided to stay either single, or after her first divorce, maybe even her second, decided, relationships just aren't for me? Would her life had gone on past the age of 47 years old? And that's the thing that really gets me, is that I don't understand why people would put themselves in that stressful situation to shorten their lives, because, that's a matter of scientific fact, that stress and shit like that will kill you quickly. If not of a broken heart and all the chemicals that, are produced throughout the body, that shit takes a toll on you. And I'm curious, what would have happened? And if there are some, string universes out there, I would be fascinated to look at the one where she decided, okay, this isn't working, and it could have happened still. It could be one of those, it's ultimate or a fixed point in time to where, she was going to die at the age of 47, or could this space-time be bent into the way to where she would have actually lived longer and going on with her career, or even just being retired or whatever and living a longer life? Not that that's a good or bad thing, but I'm just curious about that. And it really, you have to sit back and think about it. How many people out of the billions on this planet go through the same shit, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's divorces, single mothers, single fathers, baby mamas, all this other shit, and you look at it and we think it's the norm these days. And it's bullshit, because that is just unhappiness to me. And why would you want to put yourself in that situation? And as a matter of fact, why would you want to procreate and make more of that situation? It's not that I don't want to have kids, because I love children, but at the same time, or I would love to have a child, let me put it that way, because that just sounded creepy the way that sounded. But anyway, I would love to have a child, and you never know, there might be one floating around out there, I don't know. But anyway, the way the world is right now, people really, really need to sit back and make that decision in their lives, the way their relationships are, and say, is it a good idea for us to actually have a child? Are we in this for the long run? Are we really happy with one another? And how many people in relationships out there are cheating on their wives, cheating on their husbands? They got that covert situation going on to where, they got booty calls on the side. And yes, it happens. You can sit out there and lie if you want to. All right? Here's something else that in relationships, those of you who are in them, this is something that I really observed. I think it was last Friday whenever I was in a Walmart, and I was standing in line. There was this dude and this chick in front of me, and I was standing behind them for about 5 minutes tops, I guess it was. This guy was like, I thought, well, both of them actually, but the guy mainly, I thought he was robotic after about the first 2 minutes, because he would lean over, kiss the girl, pat her on the head, and then rub her shoulder. And then she would say something to him. They would giggle a little bit. He would kiss her, pat her on the head, and then rub her on the shoulder, and then rub her back or whatever. And I was sitting there behind them, and she said something, and then they giggled. I was like, here it comes. Pat on the head, rub on the shoulder, rub on the back. And I actually said it out loud, but it was like I was standing far enough away from them to where, I don't know if he heard me or not, really didn't care, because it was funny to me at this point. And he just kept doing it. It's like they'd say something to each other. He'd kiss her, pat her on the head, rub her on the shoulder, rub her back. I'm like, this is just, totally ridiculous that the robotic movement of it is like the public affection thing is awesome, but at the same time, that right there was just so scripted and unnatural. It wasn't even funny. It was almost like he wanted to show her that, baby, I'm with you, and please don't go nowhere. And what really made it funny is, now I know I got a couple of grays going on up here, and, right now I'm a fat body, hadn't been in the gym in like 6 months and all that. But this dude right here had a shaved head, but you could see the gray scalp of where he had shaved his head down. He was wearing like this, bungie shirt and some like cut up, like white faded out, knees ripped up jeans and some Converse sneakers, which, that's a style these days. But this old fucker needs to sit down with that style, because he wasn't rocking it as hard as most people usually do. And it just looked funny to me, the way he was dressed. And then for him to look like her dad at the same time was even made it more creepily funny in so many ways. You'd have to be there. But here's my point to it. Public affection is something that you either see too much of, the extreme, or you don't see it at all. And it goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning, how people walking around like zombies. There are so many people out there in relationships these days that are just in a relationship to be there. You don't see people holding hands as much as you used to. Check it out. See if I'm wrong. You don't see people, with a hand on the butt or in the back pocket or hand around the shoulder. Well, I guess you still see the hand around the shoulder every now and again, like when they're standing still. But when people are actually walking around a store or walking around a park or even in the movie theaters these days, it's like either the guy or the girl is in front or they're walking beside with space, in between them. And I just find that utterly crazy. That what happened to that? I'm not saying that, when I know I just said that it was just like funny to me that it happened the way it did with that guy. But what happened to the times that a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, I don't care, walked around holding hands with one another while they were shopping, while they were reading a book, while they were watching a movie. You don't see that a whole lot these days. And that just goes to show one more aspect of people are just doing it to be doing it. All right? And I guess that's my point to the whole video there, is that just because something is pushed on us through the generations doesn't mean it's the right thing. All right? I was talking, this is going to be another vlog, but I was talking with a girl about something on a religious aspect. I don't want to really get into it a whole lot, but it kind of rolls up into the same thing of the relationship, because whenever we were talking about it, I could tell that she might have had some type of little slight interest in continuing the conversation with me, kind of feeling each other out. And then I was like, well, I don't really have a denomination. I was like, I have beliefs, I have a certain faith. Personally, that's my choice. But after I said that, she was like, whoop, cringe up, and just ended the conversation right there. And I'm like, well, that's not a bad thing. Just because I'm not a certain denomination or even yours doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, because who ultimately really knows if we're supposed to take the Bible as a guide, through life as moral standards. The good parts of it. There are some wrath parts in it, but that really has nothing to do with it, and I'm going to end that there. But it was just kind of like, even when people's feeling each other out and they have a certain interest, there's one thing that someone says, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's over with, you'll never have a chance with me. Or it's like people lie to each other and say, just because of the way a person may look, you may be attracted to them. They may be halfway attracted to you, depending on what your beliefs are, just in life, and not religion. I'm not talking about that. It was just an example I threw out there. It could be bike riding for all I know, just for example's sake. But overall, why? That's what I want to know. There is nobody out there that has been able to explain to me why I or anybody else out there that chooses to be single, something's wrong with us if we're not in a relationship. Why? I'm happy, I'm taken care of. Lights is on, all right? Internet's on, got gas. Well, got a little gas, but things are getting done. I mean, it's not like I'm not contributing to the world because I'm not in a relationship, and I guess that's the point in which I'm trying to make. So all of the people out there that are making those comments, you need to really sit back and think about the whole big picture of it before you actually say, oh, you're a loser if you don't have a girlfriend. Oh, you're a loser if you don't have a boyfriend. Or you're a slut, whore, whatever, if you don't have one. You're just playing the field. And it could be male or female. I'm not talking about just girls, because there are man whores out there. But anyway, you get my point, and I'm going to end it there, because I don't want this to be a complete ramble. And I hope I made some good points out there for everybody, because this is just something that I've wanted to touch on, but I really wasn't sure how I wanted to word it. All right? So there you go. And I'm end it there. You know why? Because it's a craft of the mind. Go out there and get you a relationship if you really have to. And go out there and have some fun. Later.